Hey everybody, welcome to the round 14 preview. Carlton and Richmond Thursday night at the MCG. Shit, we're back to do it all over again. The return leg. Very rare that we play Richmond twice in a year, but here we are. And tell you what, I'm filming this just after watching the Queen's birthday game. You know, Collingwood have just beaten Melbourne, and I think the top 8 race is really starting to heat up. And the fact that I'm even talking about the top 8 race now is a sign as to obviously where we are, and given that we're in the thick of it, very happy with that. But the reason I'm bringing it up is, you know, the result of this game could have us potentially sitting equal first, or potentially sitting, you know, equal 7th or equal 8th. And that's where it's at right now. And I mean, it's exciting. It looks like right now 9 to 10, maybe 11 teams that are really starting to separate. And I think this is the point in the year where teams start realizing, you know, whether or not they're going to really be a threat for finals. And it's funny because at this point in the year, for the majority of my life, we get to this point and I say, well, I don't think we're a real chance for finals. I always say that, you know, we're always a chance mathematically. At this point in 2022, I believe that, you know, we are going to end up being one of the 8 teams that plays off in the finals. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen just because I believe it right now, you know, middle of June. But I am confident of what I've seen with our best footy, that it can stack up against the better teams in the competition. And, you know, Collingwood today proved that, you know, Melbourne are beatable. The Lions have had their moments as well. And so this looks like it's going to be a cracker on Thursday night. You know, the Tigers will be very excited. It seems like Tom Lynch will be back, and obviously that really is one of the final puzzle pieces for them and their best 22. I think, you know, their key pillars over the last 4 weeks, they look to really be playing with a different confidence. You know, their back 6 or 7 are really set. They've added Gibcus in there, and he's just slotted in nicely, and they're humming along. You know, I've noticed them over the last month definitely look to be a better side than what they were in the first month. And, you know, they're a good, experienced team, and they're the type of team that really understands what to do in a full season. They understand that it's a marathon, not a sprint, so they know not to peak early. And, you know, I think we in many respects are in a similar notion because we haven't quite put it all together yet. We haven't had you know, the full 4-quarter performance. There have been some really good ones. I think the Sydney one is probably one of our better performances, and to a similar extent, I think even round 1 was one of our better performances across the 4 quarters. And I am going into this game expecting it to be a real blockbuster. You know, not the one that we just played against the Bombers. They weren't up to the task to bring it to us. However, I think the Tigers will absolutely bring it to us. I think, you know, mentally before round 1, they had us, and that's something that I've acknowledged for a while. So they would still have lingering thoughts of, you know, we can beat Carlton, we're better than Carlton. So that's dangerous, because the mentality for us this week is we need to hunt Richmond. We can't afford to be hunted by Richmond. And I think that's where my little sense of trepidation comes from, because it's going to be in what I believe to be a really close game. Could go either way. So it's exciting, and that's what you want. You want to be a part of these games that, you know, mean something in the course of a season. You know, for us, I look at where we can improve from round 1. I think that night was really the night of the smalls. You know, Harry and Charlie, I don't think were as dominant as what they have been for the year. They came up against a pretty good defence. I remember, you know, Charlie's first game, I think he's a much better player than what he was in round 1. So I do expect there to be an improvement there. And I think overall we are playing better within our system now than what we did in round 1. So, you know, I think we'll be, I'm not sure if we're favourites or not. I haven't checked the odds. I'm not too obsessed with that. But I think it's going to be a tight one. It's a Richmond home game. Maybe they get the advantage there of being the favourite because they're playing in front of their home fans. And Thursday night, I do expect there to be a crowd, because I think both teams can genuinely believe that they're going to win. Given that it has been a long weekend this week, it might deter some people who will have to go to work on the Friday unless they want to call in sick or whatever the case may be. And yeah, nervous, confident energy. That's my summary. You know, for us, what are we going to do in terms of changes? Well, we know at this stage we haven't got the extent of the damage to Chera's hamstring, but it would seem, based on the language that we've heard so far, that he's probably going to miss this week, given it's a short turnaround as well, unless something miraculous happens and he decides that and proves that he's able to play. And so the question is, what do? You saw Paddy Dow had some nice stats in the VFL. Will Setterfield had some nice stats in the VFL. We know that when one of our core midfielders was out the last time in this point in the year, which was Matt Kennedy, we know that Paddy Dow got the opportunity. So this time around, is it going to be a Paddy Dow? Is it going to be a Will Setterfield, who had a really solid game by the numbers in the VFL? Or do we just elevate Cottrell to playing, in the starting 22 and bring on a new sub? That's probably the big question for me. I don't expect there to be too many changes other than the Chera one. And depending from on a matchup perspective, I'm not sure what the coaches will want to do. But like I've felt all year, whatever the coaches will do, I'll put faith in their plan. And I'm sure they know better than what I do. I guess I'm just trying to forecast what it's going to look like. So yeah, the destiny's in our hands. We're in total control of our year. We have full accountability of what happens from here on in. There's a choice. You can choose to decide that you're going to look for reasons why we'll lose because Wiedering's out and McGovern's out and, some of our best 22 are out. Or you can choose to look at it optimistically saying, we can win this game because we have the two of the best forwards in the game playing in relatively good form. We've got a really good midfield who, for the most part, probably need to bounce back, but they're great players. And then I think if you really look at it, our back six, I know Wiedering's not there, but there is still a very good mix of players there playing really good, accountable football and really stepping up in the absence of some of the other players that we've started the season with. I think Adam Sard, Nick Newman come to mind. They've really elevated their game this year. Sam Doherty, we know, who played his first game back from his story in round one. I think he's had an outstanding year coming off a best on ground performance. Lewis Young is playing very well. And Caleb Marchbank is the surprise packet. And, none of us this time last week thought that he would be playing on in the game that we just played. And, I think he's good enough to compete at this level. He's a A-grade defender when he's fit and healthy for me. And therefore, I've got confidence in who's on the park, to get the job done. So much at stake. It's so new to be a part of this mix at this point in the year. And it's all very new. And so I take this situation and I just try and stay in the moment as much as possible and not try and forecast too much. I probably got sucked in last week forecasting this big blockbuster match. I think this will be a really good game no matter what. I think the crowd and the electricity and the atmosphere will be there, which will add more gravity to the energy there. And I don't know, I've got heartbeats that are just beating really hard in my chest. I'm pumped for this game. This is, I think, seeing some of the other teams perform well and seeing, the next phase of this year really kick in. I think the gravity of each game just means a bit more. And I'm very well aware that we're now entering a portion of the year where we're playing better sides than what we did in that first, 9-game patch of the season. We know that we got the first 9 games out for the fixture. So, yeah, we've been rewarded for our previous form with, good blockbuster games. And we know that we're going to be drawing big crowds for these games. And I'm just excited to see what the boys are going to do. I'm proud of the way they go about it. I have faith and I trust the people that are in charge of them. And I have faith and trust that, the guys who are ultimately in charge of their own efforts and their own preparation and their own focus are going to be doing what they need to do to get themselves up for this game. And so, yeah, I'll be there and I'll be cheering loudly. And I hope that we can be talking about beating Richmond twice in a year, because wouldn't that be a real turnaround? So, yeah, what about you? How are you feeling? I know it's very short. I'm filming this on a Monday evening. We're probably still thinking about round 13, but it's time to move on. And that's the reality. Played on Friday night. It's done. And, Blue Abroad show Monday night. And then it's time to absolutely move on and start thinking about Richmond, because in a couple of nights' time, we're at the MCG and it's on. It's like on for young and old. So, yeah, let me know what you think about the team, the changes. If you watch the VFL and you think there's a selection there that we should be considering for a match-up purpose, we'll chat about it in the comments. I'll hopefully see a lot of you there on Thursday night. We're going to need to bring the noise and match the atmosphere, because we know that the Richmond supporters will be showing up, and we'll go from there. Go the Mighty Blues.